They probably would lay right on that couch, but I'm afraid to whatever.
So my approach to this is exactly like I would do a therapy session,
Mhm.
but I'm just learning about what you do,
Okay.
which today is talking about your campaign. Campaign for what?
Magistrate, 6th District,
And where at?
Warren County.
Warren County. And what does that entail?
So, a magistrate's responsibilities, most people associate a magistrate with roadways, tree clearance, things like that. What they really don't realize is that a magistrate is very involved in the local county government. So, a magistrate serves with the county judge and 5 other magistrates in fiscal court, not physical court, but fiscal
Fiscal.
court. They meet the second and fourth Thursdays of every month, and any issues, local policies, anything like that is brought up in court and then voted on by the magistrates and the judge.
Okay. And what kind of inspired you to take this route?
Um, the fact that Bowling Green were really growing, um, and with our growth, our infrastructure is not currently caught up with the current growth that we have. We're doing the judge pushed out a study and then a campaign. It's called What Could Be GB in 2050. And by the year of 2050, we're expected to have 75,000 more people in Warren County. Well, with 75,000 more people, we don't currently have the infrastructure to maintain 75,000 more
Sure.
people in a safe, reliable way that's not going to have people hating each other over traffic and all the things. So
Sure.
I want to, I guess, ultimately what I want to do is I want to try to make Warren County, Bowling Green, and this District 6, which is the fastest growing district right now, the best it can possibly be. And with that being said, I want my kids to want to live in Warren County one day. I pray that I'm not going to be unrealistic and think that they'll never move away, but in the same sense, I want them to want to be here and want to raise their kids here like we have.
Yes. And so do you feel like obviously the magistrate position is important to you? Is it the most like potent position, I guess? I don't know if potent's the right word, but is it the best position to bring these changes that
Um,
you're
for
talking about?
for me, as never being involved in politics, it's a good position for me. Um, I'm I'm a guy, and you've known me for a long time now, um, practically almost my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm a guy that loves to serve, and this position, the magistrate position, allows me to be with the people, like in the community, with our businesses. We're very active in the community, and this allows me to really just get down and work hand in hand with these folks to find out what the needs are. So as far as the best position, I feel like it's the best position for me. Now, am I in control of the county? Absolutely not. Would I have a vote or a say? Absolutely. But my vote and my say is not going to be based on necessarily what I want. If you hold this office and you do it the correct way,
Mhm.
your vote and your presence should support what your constituents or your voters in that area want
Yes.
and what's best for that area, and then ultimately what's best for Warren County.
Yeah. Do you see that potentially being a challenge for you, or do you think that if you know that let's say the majority of your constituents hold a certain position of what they feel like is the best direction to go, and you are maybe kind of on the fence about it, or maybe not in line with that, do you feel like that you would still be able to to go with the majority of what your constituents want?
So I hate to say it depends on, because there's one altering factor that would deter me from going away from the majority, and that's only if the majority was opposed to biblical principles.
Okay.
Now, in a magistrate race, and what a magistrate is responsible for, I don't think that, I'm not going to say never, but with most of the issues that come up, um, there's not a lot of issues that face that. Most of our stuff is residential development, economic development, passing policies for um, I don't know, pets on leashes, and getting more support for our fire departments and emergency management and stuff like that. So with that being said, whether you want to or not, your vote has to go with what the majority of the, because you'll never make everybody happy,
Right.
especially in politics.
Right.
Like, you'll never make everybody happy. So with that being said, unless it goes against mine and my family's biblical principles,
Mhm.
um, you have to go with the majority.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do.
What's kind of like first up on the docket for you if you get this position? Do you have any ideas of avenues that you would like to pursue?
The first thing that I want to do is I want to maintain what we have. I've been reaching out to some local folks, some folks that have lived in this area for a long time, and a lot of blue collar people just like me, that are out there working every day. They're driving these roadways. And one of the biggest complaints, some of the folks aren't really keen on the growth. Um, the South Warren area and Greenwood area, they're both growing quite a bit right now. And one of the biggest frustrations and complaints is our current infrastructure. This district in particular, we have a lot of farmers in this district. So when you go to adding traffic and roadways that aren't big enough already, and then you're adding more subdivisions, that causes concerns. And one of the biggest concerns, two things that I would like to look at first, and obviously I will preface it by saying no promises here because I'm one of 6 votes, but we've got some roadways that could really use some improving. Currently, the road that my wife and I drive down the road every day, I've got a dually truck and she's got a regular SUV, and when I meet her, I have to pull over
Mhm.
because it's not really safe to pass each other without
Mhm.
one getting to one side or the other. So we do have some roadways that need to be widened. But one of the biggest things that I would like to achieve if I am blessed to be put into office is infrastructure. And when you talk about infrastructure, people are like, what in the world's infrastructure? And that's usually going to include your roadways and city utilities, county utilities, and that's going to consist of, water, sewer, electric.
Mhm.
One of the biggest things that we face in the South Warren area is sewer. We have all this farmland, um, you know, and in order to grow at a responsible rate and in a responsible way, if we want to preserve as much farmland as we possibly can, currently out past where I live, you're pretty much set up for one house per acre. So if our community continues to grow, um, we essentially will run out of land pretty quickly if we can't increase or enhance our sewer.
Mhm.
And the way that works is one house per acre if you have to be on a septic tank. Okay. But if we could get sewer extended out to our area, and the county says, hey, we need 500 houses.
Mhm.
So at this rate, you're looking at 500 acres for 500 houses.
Yeah.
But if we could increase that sewer and get sewer out to us, then we could create density. So then we could put 500 houses on 100 or 125 acres. Now, yes, that's a subdivision. Houses are closer together and all that thing. You're looking next door at your neighbor. But if the need is housing and the wish is to preserve farmland, or preserve agriculture space or the view in your backyard or whatever, density is the
Yeah,
best way for us to do that. So sewer, uh, sewer would be one of the big target items that I would be looking at and pushing for this area.
for sure. Is there is so I get is there I get the sense that like subdivisions are kind of not people aren't a fan of them. Is that the case?
It depends on who you talk to. Some people love subdivisions. Some people love residential, development like that. Some people like the commercial developments out,
Hmm.
in the middle of nowhere. It does add a nice convenience, but in the same sense, sometimes people aren't as adaptable to change. And I've heard it several times just in the past few weeks being out talking to people. Uh, I guess my start for the campaign, I didn't want to start approaching people with, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I wanted to go talk to people that had lived in this district longer than me.
Hmm.
Warren County's been my home for 25 years now. Amy and I are raising our kids here. So I wanted to talk to folks that had been here to see what they really, one thing I said is, hey, what's the number one thing in 5 years? What's the number one thing that you don't want to lose?
Hmm.
And most of them has been our way of life. We like living in the country. A lot of folks enjoy being able to look out their backyard and see deer and Finn and I are avid hunters. We love
Hmm.
wildlife, but a lot of people enjoy that. But in the same sense, a lot of the other people love the growth, and they love the fact that we have a Dollar General down the road, and that we're getting a Publix, and that my son and daughter's schools are directly across the road from each other. I mean, that's convenient, you know?
Yes.
We've got restaurants out here now. So it really just depends on who you talk to. Some folks love the residential subdivisions, and some folks, are like too much traffic, taking up land space, all that. So it's at the end of the day, like I said earlier, you're not going to please everybody. You just have to, we have to figure out what is best for the county.
Yeah, and getting those ideas. I like the fact that you didn't go out saying that you were going to do this or that, but just getting feedback
Right.
on what you wanted to do because that's people want specific change, and it's good to go in with great ideas, but if they're ideas that other people aren't essentially asking for, it's not doing them any good.
Right. And one thing people don't realize, and it's changed a lot. We talk about the change out here in District 6, and I can remember growing up, my dad would reach out to our magistrate back home, and we lived on a road that wasn't paved. It was occasionally chip and sealed, and then it was gravel for the most part. And he would always call his magistrate because the road was getting bumpy and
Hmm.
he needed a load of gravel. And back in the day, he used to be able to say, "Hey, James Carl, get me a load of gravel over here. The road's beating me to death." And James Carl would make a phone call. They'd get a load of gravel out there. They would spread it, and then
Hmm.
a month or two later it would go to court, and hey, this has already been done, we got to pay for it. Well, now it's not like that. Pretty much any decision, any funds, that are required to be spent, um, people have to it has to be voted on first, so you can't call me and say, hey, my road stinks, or I've got a tree obstructing my view when I
Yeah.
pull out. We're talking about change, and that's one of the biggest things in the political aspect, political world that's changed with county government is everything has to be voted on.
Do you think that's do you think there's too much red tape or do you think there's the right amount? What do you think?
At the end of the day, especially with a county this size, um, you have to draw a line. I don't want to say red tape, but in the same sense, everyone, everyone should be treated equal. So,
Mhm.
despite what subdivision you live in, where you're from, your family last name, um, you should have the same representation. So, not to say red tape, but I feel like it's more equally balanced between the people that live in that area if you do have to take it before somebody and get it voted on first. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's good.
Yeah. Is the house that you were talking about, is that the one behind the hospital?
Yeah,
Yeah. And I remember mom and dad's driveway was gravel for the longest time too.
it
Did
was.
they ever pave your dad's?
They eventually did back home. They paved our entire road only because the hospital bought some property that they were using for a parking lot.
Okay.
So then it became accessible for medical personnel. So they paved the road.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, at least it got done.
I think your parents finally got paved too, but
Yeah, they did, but
yeah,
I don't, I was so little. I just remember mama telling me that we were going to have blacktop one day, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And
yeah,
then it was blacktop, and so I didn't know process of that or anything like that. But I do know they still have to come back occasionally and still pave back over it, because if they wanted to, I guess, to do it right, they would have to like dig it up and relay it because the ground's just not even or something under there.
yeah.
So some questions that we had come in was, you've already talked about infrastructure, and specifically was about the infrastructure changes needed to accommodate the growth. So you talked about sewage or sewer,
Hmm.
and same thing with the roads. Is it just roads and sewers right now, the main like the starting point?
That would be the starting point. There's some other things that I would like to address, but for the most part, um, our biggest issues at the moment that a lot of people will attest, and just what I've heard from people, is Plano Elementary. Plano Road is a pretty hot spot. It's during school time in the morning time when you're dropping off kids, there there is not enough, I guess, parking and ways to get in and out. So obviously that traffic backs up in the road. So you remember back home, traffic would be a little worse in the morning times around
Mm-hmm.
your elementary schools. Well, particularly in Plano, around drop off and pickup time, it's pretty congested.
Yeah.
To the fact that sometimes, officers are required to come out and direct. But I just try to avoid those areas during that time. But I can see where it would be very alarming and upsetting to
Mm-hmm.
some people that live in that area. I dealt with that road for a long time, and you just have to plan accordingly. So there are some other things, maybe widening, some of
Mm-hmm.
those main roads. But I think, and then as far as the Rich Pond school area and then Jody Richards, about all of our elementary schools, are going to have some
Mm-hmm.
type of congestion in the morning time. But the biggest difference that I've noticed is out here on Nashville Road. Man, between 7:30 in the morning and 8:30 in the morning, there's a lot of cars out, a
Yeah.
lot of cars out. Um, and when I think about school buses and things like that driving on these roads and meeting uh, other vehicles, like I meet the school bus on our road and I purposefully get over just to make sure that they have enough room. I'm not going to say we can widen every road, but some of these bigger roads that have a lot of bus traffic, a lot of farm traffic. Um, it would be nice if a dually truck and a dually truck could meet each other and not have to get off the road in
Yeah.
people's yards.
For
So
sure. For sure. Is Are there any talks? I mean, you talked about subdivisions being a possibility. Are there any that are like in the works or like on the horizon?
there are several new subdivisions in this area right now that are being developed. For some reason, we have apartment complexes. I mean, I know the reason, but we have apartment complexes and single dwelling family homes going up everywhere. And for people just keep buying and people just keep renting. We've experienced some of the highest interest rates in the past probably 10 or 15 years. In the
Mm-hmm.
past 2 to 3 years, we've experienced those. And a lot of people, the market did go down as far as for people buying houses, but people were still buying houses.
Mhm.
People may not be selling 50 a month, but they were still selling 15 to 20 a month. So while it slowed down a little bit, people were still buying. So with people still buying and filling up the subdivisions, they would essentially go in and create another one. The housing need in Warren County, a lot of folks don't know this, but we have an international center here. So you met a guy this morning at Ridge Pond Market, Max, and his
Yes.
family came in from Ukraine when
Yes.
all the stuff started in Ukraine, and a lot of people, they think when refugees or international people and stuff like that come in, you think about New York and LA and Orlando and
Mhm.
Miami and like big ticket, but we actually have a
Mhm.
huge international center here. And that's why we have such a diverse population. Two things: we have the international center, and then I will go on record saying that Warren County Bowling Green is probably one of the most welcoming communities that
Mhm.
I know, for international people that come in. I love it. I met a guy during Leadership Bowling Green. His name, I'll call him out on the podcast. His name's Daniel Tarnagda. He runs a nonprofit here in town, him and his wife, Alice. And I have grown to love this family over the past 2 years. And he's a guy that came from Africa,
Yeah.
man, and his heart for Bowling Green. And a lot of these international folks, well, not all of them, but a lot of these international folks move in, and they will sit down, and you can develop friendships with these people and sit down and just have a good casual conversation. Um, and it really just makes me appreciate,
Mhm.
number one, the United States a lot more,
Mhm.
but number two, Bowling Green, Warren County.
Yeah.
Just how blessed, even on our worst day, Ben,
Oh, yeah.
um, just how blessed we are here.
I completely agree.
And without that international center that we have, and then our community
Mhm.
being so welcoming, uh, we wouldn't have that here. And I'm talking Daniel and his wife, like they are hardworking, society providing, contributing citizens,
Yeah.
and they bring in new ideas. We don't always do things right,
Yeah.
so I think it's good to have other minds out there looking in. So I don't know how I got off on that
No,
tangent, but
no, well, we were talking
yeah,
about housing, and
yeah. Well,
so the international community are a
yes.
big portion of the housing need.
And most of them in the beginning, most of them, as far as for placement, I'm not going to say all of them, but for placement, they'll end up in an apartment for a little while, and we have really nice apartment complexes here now. But once they get here and they get established and they get jobs, they start buying homes, and just the more that people come in,
Mhm.
the more need, and it's all for the longest time. Um, on our website, it pretty much says a city or county. I don't remember the exact words. A city or county driven by growth.
Mhm.
And we're bringing in tons of, over the past 15 years, we brought in tons of manufacturing businesses. And now, our county is trying to diversify now. You and I spoke about it this morning some,
Mhm.
with maybe some big tech companies. AI is the new thing, so anything that we can get, that has to do with big tech, we're trying to reach out and do that. But with attracting those companies, um, it's going to attract more people.
Mhm.
Um, so at the end of the day, I hate to use the phrase, if you're not growing, you're dying. But it's kinda how I've been with my businesses. It's kinda how I've been with my marriage.
Mhm.
It's how I am with my relationship with Jesus. It's how I am in parenting. Um, Once you stop growing, you're dying. Now, am I saying that we need to go out and throw up subdivisions everywhere and run businesses all down major corridors? No, not yet, because we can't do that. We're
Mhm.
we're not set up for that yet. Am I gonna say that it'll happen in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. I'm not God. I don't know.
Mhm.
But if growth is coming, I do feel like we need to be better prepared for it than
Yeah.
what we are right now.
How long or let's say the next 5 to 10 years. Let's say 5 years, where do you see Bowling Green? Is it much different?
I think in the next 10 years, you'll see, just think of how much Bowling Green's changed in 10 years.
Mhm.
So if you take the progression that we've had in the last 10 years and then we fast forward 10 years, I think you'll see, some more interstate exits um, to help the diversion of traffic.
Mhm.
I think you will continue to see um, more business development. Back in 21, we had the horrific tornado that come through here and destroyed a big part of our community.
Mhm.
And we lost a lot of lives during that. Um, the area of town, as far as in the business sector that it affected most, Russellville Road and the bypass. I'm not going to say all of them, but a real high percentage of those businesses have been rebuilt and restructured. And currently, with our downtown area and our local big areas like the bypass and Campbell Lane and Scottsville Road, one of our big growth areas now for residential is Lovers Lane. So you got that exit 26 down there now. And 10 years ago there was some houses down there,
Mhm.
but now you've got the Embassy Suites, you've got several banks, you've got Graves Gilbert and Greenview, their surgery center down there. It's just taken off in front of Tony's and Embassy Suites there. uh, or behind it you've got the hub, and then they're putting in a shopping center there in front of it. So at some point, I think you'll see Lovers Lane fully connected. I think there's still a few spots there on Campbell Lane that's some vacant land. I think you'll see Campbell Lane fully connected. Um, I don't know of any gaps in the bypass. It's pretty jam packed, and I don't know of really any gaps between the bypass and the 6,000 block of Scottsville Road. But I feel like in the next 10 years we'll fill in all those gaps with businesses and industries. We've got our North Side Industrial Park out off of exit 20 and 22, that area. We've got more businesses coming to town. I think you'll see that. And with that, you'll see more people. We've got this South Industrial Park here that we have expanded kind of over toward Russellville Road. It's the South, I refer to them as the South Industrial Park and the North Industrial Park. But on this South Industrial Park, there's a little bit of room in there for some folks to come in and some revamping of some current businesses. But yeah, I still think that we'll continue to see growth. And that's why um, I am just so set on trying to get our infrastructure ready. It
Mhm.
feels like we've been behind the eight ball, and I'd like to get in front of it. It's like we're fixing stuff after it happens. So I guess let's try to think ahead and plan
More
for it instead of,
proactive.
be proactive instead of
Yeah,
reactive.
for sure. Are you comfortable talking about, like, this would be a pretty big gear change, but just like talking about who you are and like your family and
Yeah.
stuff like that? Let's start with, where you grew up and how you met your wife, my sister, for those who don't know.
So I am from Tompkinsville, Kentucky. Um, Tompkinsville, not Hopkinsville, because we get that all the
I
time.
get it too.
You tell people where you're from and you say Tompkinsville, and they're like, "Yeah, Hopkinsville. I know where that's at." And I'm like, "No, it's Tompkinsville." Um, it's a small community in South Central Kentucky. I'm proud of my hometown. I graduated from Monroe County High School. My parents, my dad was a bivocational minister. He did music and youth. He was a non traditional college student, meaning that he started college after he had a wife and two kids and a job. And they never thought that he would make it through because he had started, and he got a standing ovation at his college graduation because he made it. He was
Yeah.
30 something years
I didn't
old.
know that.
Yeah, he did. My mom, so he was a school teacher and a minister. My mom was a nurse. My dad's Ricky, my mom's Sheena. And Ben, I had a great childhood. I really
Yeah.
did. Both of my parents were very involved and active in church. They forced me to go to church. I will say, growing up, I was probably at church a lot more than not wanting to be there than wanting to be there. But when I sit here and look back over my life and then see how involved we are now, I know by them forcing me to go,
Yeah.
that the word didn't fall on deaf ears. I heard, and a lot of that pierced my heart, pierced my ears, and that's why I have a relationship with Jesus today, and that me and my wife and my family are very active. But Monroe County High School, played sports. I loved
Mhm.
football. I love basketball. I love baseball. I played all three sports, and I was very mediocre at all three of those. Um, I just loved it.
Yeah.
I hustled, and that was about the only advantage I had. A lot of people back home that I still communicate with and talk to a lot. Um, obviously your family, we're all family. But a lot of folks back home, I still call Tommy Gearlds a lot and talk to him, and
Mhm.
just to get advice and whatever. But very proud of Tompkinsville. Um,
I've been told to ask Tommy to come on the
you
podcast,
should
but
ask Tommy. He would be good for this.
okay.
But very close to a lot of people still back home. But there's a lot of Tompkinsville and Bowling Green now. Running this campaign, man, I've just so many people that have Tompkinsville roots that live in Bowling Green now. But I met my wife, your sister, probably when I was in kindergarten, and we lived on the same road, Woodhaven.
Mhm.
So to fast forward, I always thought Amy was cute and all that things, but it was like my best friend's sister.
Mhm.
So fast forward, Amy and I never really thought about dating. Um, it was just she was cute. I found out later on she did have a crush on me for a long time.
Man.
But come to college in 2000, growing up in Tompkinsville, uh, even though my dad was bivocational, I talked about Tommy and Larry. So we all farmed, raised tobacco. My aunt and uncle had a dairy farm, so we milked cows, done all that stuff growing up. Hay. Um, I think tobacco is the worst farm
That's
work
what I hear.
ever. Like, I don't know why there's not an automated way to do that now, but working in tobacco sucks. But I gained a lot from it.
Mhm.
So I worked on the farm. I worked at Key Industry for a while. It was a textile and garment factory. They made Key bibbed overalls. I put the bib pockets on the front with an automated machine, so there's an automated machine for blue jeans and stuff, but not for cutting tobacco. Um, and then I worked for the city of Tompkinsville for a while, and they stuck me on a dozer, or excuse me, a backhoe, like my second day at work, and said, your dad used to dig graves before college, so you ought to know how to run a backhoe. And they set me
Yeah.
on top of a water line.
Yeah.
I hit the water line, and it shot everywhere. We shut down the city water for a while.
Yeah.
But 2000, moved to Bowling Green. I attended Western Kentucky University. Um, Man, in 2005, it's not something I really talk about a lot, but it helped shape who I was or who I am. I was actually dating somebody else, and was in a relationship, not a good relationship. We were engaged to get married, and I, it just I realized and felt Jesus tugging at my heart to say, man, this is not the path I have for you. This is not the mate that I have for you. And you need to end this and go a different direction. And I had just felt that for a while. So finally I got the nerve to do that. She's doing fine now. She's got a kid. Her kid's, doing well. Me and Amy still see her out and we talk, so it's nothing crazy like that. It's kind of like Garth Brooks' song. What is it? Unanswered Prayers.
Unanswered Prayers.
There you go. So anyway, but I met Amy shortly after that breakup. And Amy's not the reason that we broke up or anything like that, but she was there. And it's funny because I went to your dad's office and your mom was like, she had heard that we'd broken up and stuff. And your mom was like, now, Amy's in town this summer.
Oh
like,
my
she's
gosh,
staying here.
I didn't know that.
She's staying here and she's working at Tony's office this summer and whatever. And I'm like, whatever. So evidently your mom talked and my mom talked, and later on that summer, Amy and I, started just friend, like going and watching movies and doing whatever. But fast forward, we talked about starting to date. She was at University of Louisville then, finishing up her undergrad. So we dated, kind of got a little serious. So I had to go to your brother, Nick, and say, hey, dude, like, really want to date your sister. And so he come to us both and said, hey, man, here's the deal. Like, you're my sister. He's my best friend. If it don't work out, y'all are still going to have to be around each other. So I tell people that I married Amy to keep my best friend. Okay. But I'm just kidding.
No, I know.
But no, it was good. We got married in 2007. She had finished her undergrad. And then she started her master's there. So we moved to Louisville our first year of marriage, lived there for about a year for her to finish her master's. And we moved back home in between her medical school transition. We moved back home to Tompkinsville. And I'm actually glad we did move back home. And it's kind of one of those things, like, you don't know why stuff happens, but like when you look back on it, you understand why it happens. And actually, something you and I have not talked about a lot, but that year that we moved back home, what year did you graduate high school?
2010.
So during that year that we moved back home, I don't know if you remember this or not, but me and Amy, your mom and dad would come too, but your nanny and Papa Carter would come and watch you play football. And me and Amy would end up riding/driving Nanny and Papa Carter to your JV and varsity football games.
Okay.
And it was during that transition or break year for her. Amy got a job at with the Monroe County Board of Education, and she substitute taught before she started medical school.
I remember that.
But during that time, we got to spend a lot of time with your nanny and Papa Carter.
Yeah.
And then what happened in 2008?
He passed away.
Your Papa Carter passed away. So had Amy been like full on med school then and all that stuff, she would have missed that time. And like, those are some of my best memories, like driving down the road. He would drive to the ball game at 45 miles an hour on the interstate.
Yeah.
But he made it a point to let one of us drive home.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I got off on that,
Oh,
but
good.
we moved back home. She started medical school at Pikeville in 2009. She graduated Pikeville in 2013. During this time, I had owned my businesses, and I was blessed to be able to run my businesses remote. But like on the weeks that she had like big block exams and stuff, I made it a point to be out of town. So I would make the trek from Pikeville to Bowling Green. We still had a house in Bowling Green as well. But I enjoyed that time. I did when we lived in Louisville. I enjoyed that time. I think personally, I talked earlier about wanting my kids to live in Warren County forever. But I think it's good for a newlywed couple to, I'm not saying move to California or anything, but like we lived in Louisville and it was far enough away to where Amy and I had to learn really quickly to become both dependent upon each other and then independent within ourselves.
Yes.
But it was close enough to where, God forbid, something tragic happened, we could be home really quickly.
Yes.
Or if one of us were just sick, a parent could get to us. So, but we lived in Pikeville. That was fun. A lot of people are like, you lived in Pikeville. Dude, we had a great time out there. I met a good, and Pikeville is really where she and I both got re-involved in church. When we first got married, we were doing the married thing, and on the weekend, you were just goo-goo over each other, and
Mm-hmm.
not saying I'm not goo-goo now, but you have responsibilities. So I worked through the week. She went to school through the week. We would veg out on the couch on the weekend and watch whatever shows we were watching. Back then, you bought DVDs and just watched them all at one time.
Yep.
But we enjoyed that. When we went to Pikeville, like we were spending our Sunday mornings watching TV and sleeping in. But when we got to Pikeville, I realized that we needed to be involved in church and in the community. So that's really where that started again. 2013, we moved back to, no, we didn't move back. We landed in Lexington, Kentucky.
I don't remember this.
So her residency, that's about when you were, so it was 2013 to 2016. So you
I
were
was I, I was transitioning towards going into the military.
Yes. So we lived in Lexington. 2013, we had Harper. So Amy, she started residency. No, back up. 2012, we had Harper in between her senior or junior and senior year of med school. So then Amy started residency with 1-year-old Harper. Residency was tough. Like they worked her butt off. She learned a lot, but we were at UK, and we stayed there until 2016. Amy started her job at Graves Gilbert Clinic in 2016, and then shortly after starting in October, we had Finn. So that's my way on meeting Amy. She's been in my life pretty much since I was in kindergarten. Both grew up same street. I could not just saying this because you're here, but like I could not ask for any better in-laws. Don't even consider them in-laws. Tony and Teresa have been incredible to me since day one. They have never treated me any different. I mean, you see at Christmas, you see at birthdays, you see at whatever, like everybody gets treated equal. If something good and successful has happened in my career, they have always called me and congratulated me. And then, you know, you all, like Nick's been my best friend, for a long time. Nick and I are still close. You and I have gotten really close
I
over
still like
the
I realized a long time ago, not that I don't have other people in my family that I can go to for advice, but for whatever reason, I feel like God built my relationship with you to be able to go to for advice because
Yep.
of the experiences that you have had.
Right.
There's nothing that I feel like I can't go to, not that I couldn't go to anybody else for, but there's something about like you've also been there for me at times when I really needed it, even if it was just a phone call or a text message or anything like that. And I think little things like that have really helped develop our relationship a whole lot. That's what I mean. That's what a
Yep.
relationship takes, is whether it's just a general interpersonal or something like a full on marriage. Like it takes effort, and just the little things that you've done, like sending me a text message or giving me a call to check on me and see how I'm doing, has made it so much easier for me to be able to reach out, not just when I need to, but I'm even trying to with Amy to call or text and see how everybody's doing
Yep.
more, because I need to know how I need to be that's part of just being a decent person.
Yep.
I
That's
feel
right.
like.
Well, and one of the things that's so cool about our families, is your parents and have you all never treated my parents any differently,
Mm-hmm.
or and your mom and dad like took my brother in as well. When my mom died, um your sister was about as crushed as I was crushed.
Mm-hmm.
Amy and my mom had a great relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Amy was in med school when mom passed away, and your parents were just so good to us, you
Mm.
know? And then I remember you and Nick just like, being around and being at the house. And then it's one thing when somebody passes away, like you expect that influx of people that
Mhm.
week or 2 weeks. But like your parents, of course, you were still in school, your brother, um, like months and months and years after. And like your mom still to this day, like on my mom's anniversary date of her passing away, like she'll text me and say, man, your mom's so proud of you or whatever,
Yeah.
and just still does little things like that. But on the flip side, what makes, I think, our family so unique is that, Amy hit the lottery too with my parents. Like
Yes.
they loved her, and they love your mom and dad and you and Nick,
Yeah.
and of course now it rolls down to Lauren and Clay, everybody. But our families just got along so well,
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of who Amy and I are. But so I got to Finn, right? Uh, Finn is uh uh Finn is 9 now. Harper is 13. Um, Amy, physician at Graves Gilbert Clinic. She's actually stepped into a big administrative role at
Mhm.
Graves Gilbert. She's still seeing patients, but she is over their quality care. I'm not sure if I'm saying this right, so if I'm not, Amy, I apologize, but she's got a lot of like alphabet letters behind her name, and I don't know what they all mean, but I married up big time. She's super successful white collar, and I'm Mr. Blue Collar. Um, I think Kevin Sanson told me I outkick my cover is what he told me. But anyway,
I have to think about
yeah,
that.
that was what he told me. He said I outkick my cover. So but with that being said, Amy's doing great in her career. We're very thankful for the opportunities that she has. My businesses, I'm out grinding every day. My background is I got a degree in healthcare administration, and hate's a strong word, but I really don't like healthcare.
Yeah.
I'm married to a doctor. My mom's a nurse. Your dad's a doctor. My brother's a nurse practitioner. But anyway, surrounded by medical people. My degree's in healthcare administration and marketing. And my biggest form of background is logistics. I did FedEx for 20 plus years, had a logistics company. I really enjoyed that for a long time. And then it just became, I was having to travel a lot. When your kids get older, that's hard to
Mhm.
do. Um, I have ADHD. I'm non medicated. Um, so while a lot of people say that I'm very entrepreneurial, I guess,
Yeah.
I just say that it's non-medicated ADHD. I'm not scared to take a
It's
risk.
productive.
Well, it's productive as long as my attention span is allowing it to be. But I like to build a company. This is what I love. I love to build a company to where it doesn't need me on a daily basis,
Mhm.
and then I'll have to go start something else.
That's how not that I talk about you a whole lot, and that's not a good or a bad thing. I don't you don't come up in discussion very much, but that's the way I have described you to my friends is you seem to be very good about getting either interested or getting something started up and getting it running, and then being able to hand that off to somebody else and then go and do something else. I mean, and I think that's a good I think that's a good thing. But what are some, you know, you don't have to name them or anything, but have you experienced any like where it didn't pan out, and then how do you recover from that?
So I'll be the first to tell you that I have failed more in my life than I've succeeded. Right now we have 3 strong businesses, and it's embarrassing because I did this 3 times, but they say third time's a charm, and it's not. I own FedEx routes, okay?
Mhm.
And we contracted with FedEx. I become the largest contractor in the FedEx network. I was young and dumb, and 21 years old, had my first FedEx route. My dad co-signed on my first truck, $43,351. And that's a lot of money, but back then
That
it
was a
sounded
lot.
like a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
But then when you look at a balance, you look at a balance sheet and you've got 150 something semi trucks and millions of dollars invested. You're like, holy crap, $43,351 wasn't a lot of money. But if you own that many trucks, your number one cost is payroll.
Mm-hmm.
Your number two cost is fuel. And your number three cost is maintenance. Well, payroll is what it is. You've got to pay a competitive wage to get people in those trucks and to move them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Fuel, it is what it is. Like, I can't control fuel prices. I can control somewhat where my guys buy fuel at the cheapest places, but overall, that's something that's set by somebody else. Maintenance, I can't really control scheduled maintenance, but I can control future breakdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, man, we own this many trucks. Let's open up a maintenance shop. So I had a guy that was doing my tires for me at FedEx. That's just when I was in Bowling Green. And then I had a few other locations. We were in Bowling Green, and I think at the time we were running some step vans, maybe out in Hazard, Kentucky, and then down in Nashville. So I transitioned. I had all step vans, door-to-door delivery for probably the first 5 to 8 years of my logistics career, and then I transitioned all over to semi trucks. But I thought, man, we can control maintenance cost. So we opened up a little maintenance shop out on Louisville Road. Me and Brad Dubry. We had a guy that went into business with us. It was called Finn's Tire.
I remember that.
And it was not because of my son, Finn. And I actually thought about not naming him Finn after this business venture. But we had a guy that was doing our tires. I won't mention him on the podcast, but he come to us and said, hey, you spend a lot of money in tires and maintenance with me. We need to open up a tire shop. And I'm like, sure, dude, why not? Let's do it. So we opened up a tire shop the 1st of April. My birthday is April 28th. So y'all remember that, podcast people. But before my birthday, this guy sent a text and said, dude, I'm done. I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. Dude, I didn't know anything about tires.
Yeah.
But I had to learn really quick how to change tires, how to do things. But the thing is Amy and I, this opened up in 2014, and Amy and I live in Lexington. So here I am trying to run all my FedEx in different locations. I'm trying to hustle back and forth between Lexington and Bowling Green. I have a daughter at the time, running this maintenance shop. So it ran for a while, and the more I done it, the less I could be there. And one thing I've learned with small business is if an owner is not involved in it on a daily basis. I'm not saying you got to work there from 8 to 5 every day, but if your face is not by there, if your employees and the people that you work with don't see that you're 100% invested and care, it will not be successful.
Yeah.
So needless to say, my first maintenance shop, I took several thousands of dollars of a bath. It was a hard, failure, chalk it up, learning experience. Then we're in Louisville, Kentucky, and we did it again. But we thought in Louisville, since we were in Louisville and we were dealing with semi-trucks exclusively, bigger trucks calls for a bigger shop, bigger equipment, all that stuff. So Louisville, we do this thing, and we fail even more miserably. And you would think with 40 of your own semi-trucks sitting there, that you could manage, maintain, and keep it afloat. But with me and then my business partner at the time, Brad, not being there every day,
Sure.
it's just kind of like when the cat's away, the mice will play, and people don't care about
Absolutely.
stuff like you care about it. So I failed there again. And then we done it on a little smaller scale in Northern Kentucky and failed at that. So I come to the conclusion that it does not matter how many semi trucks that I own I don't need to open a maintenance shop. So those are three very clear times in my life. All three of those times, my wife said, "That's a dumb idea."
Mm-hmm.
And I still did it. And I failed miserably. So,
Yeah.
but I'm glad you asked me that because, you know, in 2016, we had 2015, 16, 17 was some of our biggest growth years at FedEx and with our logistics company. And at the end of 2016, FedEx condensed down some, and you may not even know this about me, but in 2016, like I prepared for the boom. Like FedEx had condensed. So instead of running, let me just put it to you in terms from here. Okay. So from Bowling Green to Louisville, you can turn that run twice in a day. Okay.
Okay.
So you can go from Bowling Green to Louisville and back, and Bowling Green and Louisville and back, and make good money. Okay. Um, what they did is they started putting in these satellite hubs to supposedly move packages quicker. Okay. So instead of going Bowling Green to Louisville, for example, they would put a hub or a satellite hub in E Town.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was going from Bowling Green to E Town, Bowling Green to E Town. So it cut my miles down. So we had roughly, out of 150 something trucks just in this one area. And then they did this nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
So all of our hubs that we had trucks in, let's say we were running 150 trucks at the time, we went down to running like 100 trucks. So it had not really decreased our mileage in half, but it had cut a good 30 to 40% of our miles off.
Gotcha.
We still owed money on these trucks. We still had drivers that we felt obligated to employ. So in 2026, or excuse me, 2016, I prepared for the boom. Like we had to start selling off some trucks. We sold our house. We sold our vehicles. We sold everything because I thought I was going to go bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. I
You
thought,
hit it very well, dude.
well, I mean, and I even went and spoke to a corporate bankruptcy attorney because in 2016, like I thought, I don't know if you remember, but when we lived in that house out in Oakland for a while, no,
Mm-hmm.
you probably were military then.
Well, there was a house. Is it the house that you all lived in when Harper was born?
When Hartwell, we lived in that house for a while. Then we moved to Lexington, but then it was we moved from that house shortly after Finn was born in October. And what was horrible for Amy is she had just started her career.
Mm-hmm.
She had worked her butt off to become a doctor, and here I am looking at her saying like, "Hey, I think my company's going to go bankrupt."
Yeah.
We had just had Finn, so we sold our house on Oak Ridge Way, and then we moved into a rental house out in Oakland, Kentucky, until things kind of shook out. Luckily, praise God, and only by the grace of God did we not go bankrupt. But Amy and I look back at that time, um, and we both grew a lot. Like we became closer then. Our marriage got stronger then.
Yeah.
Um, because you do it and I do it and all this other stuff, but I don't now. I promise you that. Society measures success
Mm-hmm.
by what people have, what people do, what they wear, what vehicles they drive, what type of houses they live in, what elaborate vacations they go
Mm-hmm.
on. That's what people measure success on. And ever since that day, um, my view changed pretty quick.
Yeah.
My greatest successes in life is my relationship with Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I don't deserve it. My marriage to Amy,
Mm-hmm.
don't deserve that, and my children, and those are my greatest successes in life.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go on down the line to family, and but you know, you don't know, and that's one thing with, dude. I just got Facebook. Uh, hate's a strong word, but I really don't like Facebook. I don't. I don't like Instagram. Like, social media allows people to hide behind a camera.
Absolutely, it does. It does.
And what people don't realize is on social media, you only see the best of what's going on with those people, you know?
Yes.
But you know, I got Facebook now, and with this whole political stuff, and um I don't know, man. You look at people and you see what they have and all that. And lots of times when I see that stuff, my first thought is like, what's really going on in their life?
Yeah.
So, me, I will tell you, I don't care if you live in a big fancy house. I don't care what you drive. I feel like a person's success is measured by the value that they bring
Mhm.
to people, and the way that they serve, and the way that they love their family, the way they love Jesus, the way that they give back to the community. I feel
Mhm.
like that at the end of the day, you said it earlier, that's just what a good human being does.
Yeah.
And take I don't want to say take biblical principles out of it, but a golden rule: do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. If everybody would just practice that,
Mhm.
like, I think the world, I think politics, I think jobs, I think everything would just be so much better. Now, what people don't realize is within that phrase, do unto others as people do, you want others to do unto you. That's a pretty cool picture of the gospel,
It is. It's
Um,
the second greatest commandment pretty
now,
much.
so with that being said, you know, I just think it would be a lot better.
Yeah, I think my definition of success would complement yours, and I think you would agree. I think what you would do is incorporate it. I don't think is like your success is not what you have, but what you like what you and almost it's not what you endure, but pretty much like what you have as after enduring because you and Amy like and I don't mean materially. I mean you and Amy, you know, you endured what you all endure, but you're still together and you're still fighting the same fight.
Yep.
You know, and that's success is what I'm saying. It's what you it's coming out the other side of
Mhm.
the things that you endure.
Yep.
Yep.
That's right.
All right, man. Well, I think this gives a really good picture of who you are
Mhm.
and what you stand for, why you stand for it. Is there anything that you would like to put out there that you didn't get the opportunity to, or that you wish we could have talked about?
Uh, man, I, I don't know why anybody want to listen to me talk, but how we doing on time?
Oh, we're
What
dude, we
time
got
is it?
all day.
What time is it?
It is 11:55.
Perfect. Okay. So, you know, to be and not like you said, um, materialistic or anything like that, as far as career wise, but most importantly, as a believer, as a husband, as a father, um, to be where I'm at today, I don't deserve to be at.
Mm,
Um, I was dumb growing up, man. Like, I really was. And in college, um, we all, not all of us, but some of us like me went through a phase, and, um, you know, I'm just a normal person. And that's one
mhm.
reason why I like your podcast so much, because it's the average Joseph. You've got
Yeah.
just the average person on here. But one thing that I enjoy about it is listening to other people, because lots of times we like to follow that dark path of woe is me or
Mhm.
whatever. And at the end of the day, you can make life as good
Mhm.
or as bad as you want to make it.
Mhm.
And you know, let's talk about Christianity for a second. A lot of believers believe that just because you're a Christian, your life is supposed to be easy, you know?
Yep.
And I say it has the reverse, especially if you're living the way that you're supposed to live,
I
because
agree
it,
100%.
if you're a believer agreeing with the world, we might want to step back and pray and see what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
Not saying you're not a believer, but you know, it's a lot harder. But you know, my day-to-day life, um, we all face the same struggles, you know?
Yeah.
Like my day starts every morning. I set my alarm clock and I go get my daughter up. Harper, it's hereditary. She's got She has ADHD.
Mhm.
However, she's medicated. Praise God. Uh, Dude, she's a great student. She's into beauty pageants. I think she's the most beautiful girl. Her mother is by far the most beautiful woman. Harper's the most beautiful girl in the world. I support her. Her ADHD has such uh, a creativity to it. Like the girl
Mhm.
can make shoes out of cardboard. Like
Yeah.
she's just so creative. But you know, my day starts every morning. I hate to use the word struggle, but with a struggle, because I know I get up in the morning, I sit on the edge of my bed, I just simply say, Jesus, thank you for allowing me to wake up today. And then me and my kids have something we say. You heard it in the truck this morning. I say, it's a great day. And then they both say, to have a great day. So I
Mhm.
try to start my day off with just, thank you, Jesus, for letting me wake up. Thanks for making it a great day to have a great day, you know?
Mhm.
Um, so, you know, we start the day off knowing I'm going downstairs to wake Harper up. And then until she gets her medicine in her and going, it's hard to keep her on task.
Yes.
So once I get that task, and she's helping during all of this, but me being the father figure, I just feel like it's my responsibility to do this. My next task for the morning is to get my 9-year-old son out of bed. And he takes after his mama. You've dealt with this with your sister growing up. He's not a morning person. Now,
Mm.
Harper's like me, buddy. She is happy in the morning. If it's on a Saturday morning and we have nothing to do, my unmedicated ADHD,
Mhm.
and then her not being medicated yet, dude, we will drive Amy and Finn crazy.
Yeah.
Like we're off the walls. Music can't be too loud. Like that's just our jam, you know?
Yes.
But then we start with Finn, trying to get him up and motivated and going. And he's the kid that if you don't leave him alone, it sounds like horrible parenting here, but if he had a shoe in the bed, he'd probably throw it at you, just like your sister did you growing up.
Yes.
But the only reason I say that is to say that my day doesn't start off, my day does start off perfect, essentially, because I'm allowed to wake up and do it again.
Mm.
But very quickly, after just that small amount of perfect time, I already start with task one and task two, you know?
Mhm.
So I guess what I really want people to know is everybody faces the same trials and the same struggles every single day.
Yeah.
And just knowing by listening to your podcast, you have real, authentic people on there that aren't scared to talk about successes. They're not scared to talk about failures, and they're not scared to talk about struggles, you know?
Mhm.
Um, and then, you know, those two things in the morning, I'm not the only person that has a 13-year-old daughter and a 9-year-old kid. So it's not, woe is me. Why is my kid so hard to get ready in the morning? I just make the best of it
Yeah.
and try to have a good time with my kids. And is everybody happy when we leave this house in the morning? Absolutely not. You left the house with us this morning.
Mhm.
Do I have to honk the horn maybe once or twice
Yes.
for Harper to get out
Yes.
there? Yes. But at the end of the day, I am so blessed to have two kids that love Jesus, that are smart. And dude, one thing that we take for granted so much is our health.
Mhm.
Uh, and they're both healthy kids, you know? So with that being said, people face the same struggles, and
Yeah.
it's just really all in how you react to it, how you prepare for them, and then really just how you want it to gear or
Yeah.
steer your life,
Yeah.
So
You're a real person, just like everybody
that's
else,
right.
but you still choose to make the most of what you have. Yeah.
Most people that are around me. So in church, they laugh at me because I sign up to go to these events. And if you can't tell by now, in over 20, 30 years of knowing me, I love to talk to people,
Yeah.
and I think on the business side of things, I brought a business partner in several years ago. I don't like being in an office. I don't like running financials. I just don't like the office setting because I feel like in the office setting, the thing I enjoy about all my businesses more than anything is the business development side and networking, and both of those require talking to people.
Yes.
But in a sermon, Pastor Steve and Pastor Jamie, both at church, say that you need three types of people in your life. You need a Paul. Paul was a man during biblical times that just told you like it is.
Yes.
He was very blunt. He told the Ephesians, he told Philippi, he told the Church of Corinth, he told all these people just like it was, So you need somebody in your life that's going to be very, very, very blunt with you.
Yes.
Okay. If I'm doing something wrong, you're one of those guys in my life. I've got several other men here in my life that know to hold me accountable, but they can grab me and say, "Hey, dude, you need to straighten it up,"
Yeah.
or "That wasn't a really good move you done." But in the same sense, I've got to be able to handle that biblical constructive criticism,
Criticism. Yes.
So you need a Paul, you need a Timothy, okay? So everybody, Timothy was somebody that Paul poured into, because I'm going to die one day,
Mm-hmm.
and we need other people in this world, both biblically, morally. We need to pour into people so that we don't lose our core
Mm-hmm.
values, and our truth. So you need a Paul to tell you like it is. You need somebody that you can pour into to help shape, not in an arrogant way,
Right.
but in a way to say, hey, this is what I do. This is why I do it. I like to bring everything back to biblical
Yeah.
principles. This is why I do it, because it says it right here. And then the last type of person you need is a Barnabas.
Okay.
Barnabas was known for being an encourager. He encouraged people. And in life, so many times, people only focus on the negative
Yes.
and nobody looks at the positive things going on. So when people see me and they talk to me, I am probably the most optimistic person that you'll ever be around.
I would say so.
Now, I've had bad days and I get in bad moods, but not even 9 times out of 10, 99 out of 100 times around people, I am always glass half full. Like I always am optimistic. I'm always ready to look for the good. Corey gets mad at me, my brother, when we're having business meetings, especially with employees. He's a Paul. He's a
Yes.
blunt and to the point, don't beat around the bush. I am, if you've got three things going on that I disagree with right now, I'm going to give you three positives to one negative
Yeah.
because I want to encourage you more. So if
Yeah.
you got three things that I don't like, instead of saying I don't like A, B, and C, I'm going to tell you that I really love A, B, and C, but I don't like D. And then, down the line.
Yes.
But at church, we have single moms oil change, and I'll sign up to help cook breakfast, or I'll sign up to change the oil in cars and whatever. And people say, whatever, Justin, he'll sign up to help cook breakfast and he'll be here at 6, but he'll go MIA talking to people or whatever.
Yeah.
And I finally had an elder, Tim Murley, come up to me one day and he said, man, it's important what you do. And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Just the way that you talk to people and make them feel welcomed and the way that you'll sit and listen to them." And he said, "Encouragement is a good thing."
Mhm.
Um, he said, "People focus on the negative too much and we don't focus on the good that people
Yes.
do." So that's one thing that I try to do. I try to encourage people, and every time, especially, bringing it back into politics, our sheriff here in town, Sheriff Hightower, um, he probably gets more negative comments than he gets good, you
Mhm.
know? But one thing that he and the county were able to do for us in the past 4 years in his term, I don't know the exact time frame, but they have been able to get police officers at all of our county schools.
Mhm.
So, and that you think, man, y'all live in Bowling Green and you don't have that? Man, not until in the past few years. We didn't have safety resource officers at each school. So now, every time I see him, and I truly mean it, uh, I go up to him, I shake his hand, ask him how he's doing, ask him how his wife's doing, and I always tell him, thank you for doing that
Yeah.
to protect our kids. And that's really what I want, people to know is encouraging people and seeing the good in people will go a long way. And you talk about that, randomly texting you and all. Dude, I'm not going to say that I remember all this. I literally put reminders in my phone when I'm thinking about it. Like, if you see my reminder chart on my phone, and it'll just pop up, and sometimes I miss them, but I've got probably 10 random people. Uh, some of them I'm not seeing for 10 years. Some of them I see on a daily basis. Some of them I may not have seen in 5 years, but I've got a random text that says, uh, text Jesse today,
Yes.
see how he's doing, and it'll say, I'll have a reminder that comes up that says, hey, give so and so a call and just
Yes.
see what's going on in their life. And a lot of people think, man, like you're really good about that. I mean,
You
it's
are
cause
good about it.
well, but
Just
it's
because it doesn't happen organically. It
well,
does happen organically, but it plays out in a more and it's still genuine.
it is genuine, yes, because number one, I love people, I really do love people, and I love communicating with people.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one thing. We talked about success, and the way people view it. And at the end of the day, when I am laying in the dirt, like we all will be one day, um, when they drop me in the grave, I want people to be able to say, he revealed the love of Jesus every
Mhm.
day to everybody he talked to. I want people to say he was a great husband to his wife.
Mhm.
And I want people to be able to say he was a great father to his children. And I pray by then they're married. I pray Finn has a wife and Harper has a husband and we have tons of grandkids. But I want them to say he was a great family man and he loved and served this community.
Yeah.
I don't care if they mention any business I've owned. I don't care if they mentioned any award that I've got that's just a plaque laying down somewhere. At the end of the day, as far as legacy, like that's what I want people to
You wanna
see.
reflect
Yeah,
Christ to them.
that's right. That's right. And when I think about my dad and when I think about your dad,
Mhm.
like a lot of people depend on your dad.
Yes.
A lot of people depend on my dad.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, two of the most important things that I can say about both of those men is not their career and the things they do on a day to day basis. Well, actually, it is the things they do on the day to day basis because they both exemplify Christ in a positive way
Mhm.
and they both are great fathers,
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, even to them, that's going to mean more than any obituary that one of them
Yes.
anybody could write about them. So I
Yeah.
hated to get really morbid about that,
No, that's not morbid at
um,
all. It's real.
but one other thing, uh, that was brought to my attention. Uh, it was Mother's Day of last year. Uh, we were in Tompkinsville, um, and we were at the cemetery. And I've never been a big graveyard person at all.
Mhm.
Uh, and my kids, Harper and Finn, wanted to go see Nanny Sheena's grave, you know? Um, I thought, sure, whatever, we'll pull up there. So we pulled up there, and of course, it had some dust on it. And Amy, like, she's awesome. Um, she she cleaned it off, whatever. And we were just standing there talking, and uh, Harper and Finn looked at me and said, "Well, Dad, I guess you'll be buried here." I looked at Amy. I said, "No, I hope not."
Mhm.
And they said, "Well, why? Why don't you want to be buried here?" And I'm like, "Well, I'll probably be buried in Bowling Green somewhere."
Yeah.
And Finn said, "But Dad, this is where you're from." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And Harper's like, "Well, I just don't understand. Like, your your mom's buried there. Like, Pa will probably be buried there. Like,
Mhm.
he's seen my grandparents' grave, Mammy and Bill buried right there." I'm like, "Man, here's the deal." I said, "I am from Tompkinsville. I am. And I'm very proud. I enjoy bringing you all back to see these things and do these things." I said, "But Bowling Green,
Mhm.
that's our home.
Mhm.
That's my home. That's your mom's home, and that's your home."
Mhm.
And I said, "So, um, that's why I'll be buried in Bowling Green one day." And Harper and Fan were like, "Well, yeah, I kind of see that. Like, we go to church at Hillview, and you would have your funeral there." And I'm sitting here talking about this with my kids, and it sounds kind of crazy, but um, I say all that to say, um, you know, life's tough. We're not promised easy days. Um, and in the famous words of Farmer Fran on the Water Boy, home is where you make it,
Yeah, it is.
and Bowling Green has become our home. And one thing I do want to put out, what a horrible son I am, and a horrible son my brother is. I both said we weren't. Somebody I've not mentioned, and I want to mention, um, because she's a very instrumental part, an important part of our life. Um, we don't do graveyard. We just don't. I don't
Mhm.
put flowers on my mom's grave. I don't go clean my
Mhm.
mom's grave off. I don't do anything like that. Um, you know who puts flowers on my mom's grave?
Miss Pat.
Nope. Miss Pat's a very important person in my life too. But my dad was blessed to find love again after my mom.
Yes.
And my dad's wife, Rhonda, I still call her Rhonda, and I think she respects that and appreciates that. But the number one name that we all call her is Nana, because my kids never knew my mother. Um, and just like your mom, um, my kids are her grandkids, and she's good to my dad. She's good to me and Amy. She's good to my kids. And in the beginning, like, me and Corey were pretty mean to her.
Mhm.
We really were. It was just weird seeing that, but Rhonda, um, she talks to my kids about
Mhm.
my mom, you know, um, and I think my kids r- have a much deeper respect for her because
Mhm.
she does do that, but she has flowers put on my mom's grave. She makes sure they're there, they're done. Her and my dad, they do all of that. And I say that to say that, living here in Bowling Green, and they live in Bowling Green too. Um, you talk about the struggles of life. They bail us out a lot. Like,
Mhm.
"Hey, I got a meeting that just popped up. I got to be out. Like, can you get the kids?" And like,
Yeah.
Rhonda's probably usually the first one to answer, to
Yes.
say, "I got you," or, "Sorry, I got a conference call at 2:30, can't do it today." And then Dad will pop in and say,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I can do it," or whatever. But, um, she's been, uh, after I sat back and looked at it, like, I'm really glad, that my dad was able to experience this again. Um, Definitely, took a burden off my chest because I don't know if I'd want my dad living with me. We're too much alike. But man, I just, you know, we've got a great family. We argue just like any other family.
Yeah.
We have differences just like any other family. But when I sit back and look at it, both of us, you and me both, we are very blessed when it comes to that. So
Absolutely, man. We
anyway,
are the best families, and I've seen my fair share of families that aren't mine, and I kind of it makes me thankful to know that the immediate family that I have
hmm
is structured the way it is, and is filled with the people that it's filled with.
right.
So, all right, man. I appreciate you coming on the podcast, and if I could vote for you, man, I would, not just because you're family, but based off principles alone. And um, I so where are you headed to? What's next for you on the campaign trail? What are
Well,
you getting ready for?
today on the campaign trail, we do the ballot position drawing. I'm actually kind of excited about it. It's a media event, so anybody that has filed to run for political office, excuse me, at 2 o'clock, we all gather in the fiscal courtroom down on 10th Street at the courthouse, and it's done by the way that people filed. So I am running against two other gentlemen. So one guy filed before me, then I filed next, and then the third guy filed after me.
Mm-hmm.
So the first guy, there's 3 ping pong balls
Okay.
and a hat because there's 3 of us. So the guy that filed first will draw first, and then I'll draw second, and then the other guy will draw third. And then whatever number you draw, so you'll probably see some social media post later, but whatever number I draw is how I will be listed on the ballot.
Yeah.
Naturally, you want to draw number 1 because metrics and science tell you that if people, I hope everybody ends up knowing me. I pray I can get my name out there. But if they don't know any of the 3 candidates, and of course, this is a party affiliation race, so this would be Republican primary for me. But if they don't know anybody, they just end up picking the first name,
Yeah.
or they pick the incumbent, if they don't
Yes.
know any of the 3 people. So, since I'm not the incumbent, it would be great if I could get slot number 1. But you know what? A lot of people have asked, like, hey, how are you? Number 1, why'd you do politics? Or why are you doing politics? And it's because I have the heart to serve and want to do things better. But secondly, um, you know, I'm not gonna they ask me, why am I not more worried or concerned or
Mm-hmm.
whatever? And at the end of the day, like I've already said it, you can't make everybody happy. I'm gonna go out and voice my concerns, my opinions. I will listen to other people. I will live by my foundational core
Mm-hmm.
values, and God's going to let it be what he
God's
wants
got
to
it.
be,
Yeah.
So, if he wants me in this office, I'll be in this office.
Yes.
I'm going to work my butt off, and I'm going to try to earn every vote that I get. I don't want people voting for me because they think I'm a good person or they like my shirt I've got on. I want them
Yes.
to vote for me because they think that I'll do the best job for them. So at the end of the day, he's got it. But so I'm going to go the ballot drawing. Very excited about that. And then, man, we just got a typical day after that. I'll have a work meeting after that. And then basketball game tonight. Finn's got a basketball game. I have learned very quickly. Dang, man, it's really hard to coach youth sports and be in a leadership role at church,
Yeah.
and then to be in politics.
Yes.
Well, we won a game last week, and evidently a lady thought my team was too aggressive, and she thought I allowed things to happen on the court, which meant Finn diving for a jump ball. And she,
Can't be having any of that competitiveness.
I mean, she made it very clear that she didn't think that would help my political campaign.
Well, that's
But
okay.
at the end of the day, I'm just a real person trying to coach my son playing basketball. So
Yep.
anyway,
All right, man. Well, let's get you out of here and get you where you need to go.
good deal.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thanks.